How are you?
I'm good. You look beautiful.
Oh, it's a lot of hairspray.
That's awesome. You look great.
Oh, thanks. It's a lot of bronzer and some hairspray, and I'm so excited because I just booked my hair appointment for next week.
Right?
Yeah,
That's the thing. It's so crazy because in Toronto, nothing like that is open yet.
that's
At
right.
least that's what I think. So
I
I'm
think
just
you're
pulling out.
I think you're right. Wow. Is it sunny and hot and gorgeous there today too?
Yeah. So I was actually trying to do my live session outside because I'm quarantining at my parents' place,
Oh,
and um, there's a bunch of kids running around, which is amazing. But I
yeah.
just, oh, this might be a little bit too loud. But you guys keep playing.
That's okay. That's
Yeah.
okay.
We'll just fix the volume here and we'll just wait another couple minutes. I see we have a couple people trickling in. Anyway, so I'm really excited about this chat today. It is one up, like it gives me the jitties, the happiness. I
Me too.
can't talk today, so I hope this live session goes well. But it's a very exciting topic for me, and I'm sure a lot of people as well.
Most likely, because a lot of people I think are very interested in it. Some people haven't come out of the intuitive closet yet, but they
Yeah,
just in, and they just can't come out because they're not confident. And I think this will be a really great step toward bringing them forward and
yeah.
letting them enjoy their lives by getting in tune with themselves.
Like it's very magical, and I think people that's why people shy away from it
Yeah.
because it's so hard to believe that our bodies are in tune with the course of our lives and very yeah, just allowing us to see the journey before us, and we just have to listen.
That's the tough
Yeah.
stuff.
So you know what? Why don't we just get started?
Yeah.
And Lynn, why don't you just give us back some background information on you and about your story?
Oh, okay. It's if we go way back, and I'll go through it quickly because we the meat of the intuition is more fun than what I'm all about. But
Well, fun learning about people too. That's why I'm here.
yeah, oh, cool. So it
Yeah.
just goes back to when I was about 12 or 13. And I do remember, that's the generation of The Exorcist and the Amityville Horror. And my bed was shaking, my closet doors were shaking. And at that time, having all those horror movies in my head, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die. But after a few nights of doing it, and my sister, who's shared the same room, saying, could you stop that? Which I didn't know how to stop that. This little boy, who was entirely see through, just kind of came up to the side of my bed and he said, my daddy killed us all and he killed himself. Can you help us get home? I don't know. I don't know if I can.
That's a lot for a little girl to take.
It is. And he said, oh, I'll show you. It's really easy. So he did. And the dad, of course, was the hardest to cross over. And I honestly couldn't tell you how I did it, but I got them all over. And once peace and quiet was again restored in my home, he came back and he said, I know you can do it, but I have a gift for you and it's more of it. And I was, what are you talking about? And I thought, being a teenager in the 80s, I'm thinking I'm getting an Atari from this little guy. And it was being able to enhance my gift more easily, being able to be more accessible to it, or for it to be more accessible to me. And ever since then, it's been spot on. If, like you said, if I listen to it. But
Yeah.
you know what? You grow up as a kid and you're being told it's just your imagination, or, that's stupid. And so you're like, oh yeah, I guess it is stupid. I won't listen to it. Like a lot of us do. You're being emotional, you're being stupid. And yeah, that's why your emotions are there. to tell you. So I went through my teenage years, caused a little ruckus like we all should, so we could have a little fun. And went to university. I was an elementary school teacher for 20 years. And talk about being in a classroom with a lot of kids and all their dead grandparents and aunts and uncles and all those kinds of things. So it was a little overwhelming, but I did it for 20 years. And when the government changed and the job got cut, I said, I'm going to try this psychic thing. I didn't even know what to call it. I'm going to try this psychic thing for a while and see how it goes. And within 3 months, I didn't have to teach anymore.
That's
So
easy.
yeah, and that was in 2005.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know you kind of said, like, I don't know how I did it. But is there sort of any inkling, like when you were younger, that you did have a gift, and obviously that little boy had given you the gifts, but how did you end up believing yourself and
Yeah.
um, getting to that point where I guess you decided after teaching that you wanted to do this full time?
Because in hindsight now, when I looked back on things, all the times I got that little birdie chirping in my ear to do this or do that or not do this or not do that, every time I listened, things went smoothly. Every time I ignored it, it was so challenging. I'm not saying it wasn't possible, it was just so much more challenging. And so eventually it was just like, I'm just going to listen. I'm just going to listen, even though it sounds ridiculous. I will trust myself. So that's, and it's
Yeah.
tough.
Oh gosh, yeah. Especially when it's something that people aren't necessarily, they don't warm up to right away, and it's like too magical for people and too woo woo for people, that they're like, oh gosh, I don't know, I don't believe it. And so kudos for you for listening to your intuition, and you're now an intuition expert.
Yeah, and I mean, still these days, if people say, "What do you do?" I'll tell them, and the first thing they say, some people, very few, but they'll say, "I don't believe in that."
Mm.
And if I'm in a sassy mood, I'll say, "Well, what do you do?" And they'll say, I'm a secretary." "Oh, I don't believe in that." And what? See how it sounds?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
there is still that kind of, like you say, something a little magical or woo woo about it, where people aren't sure and they don't know how to take it because there's no actual evidence or proof or a paper on the wall that says this is what I do.
But here's a thought, and not to get too metaphysical for people, but okay, how did we all get here? Isn't that sort of a magic in itself? Like, how do you? I personally, and I get it that not everyone believes the same way, but there is something magical about this world. There is something, you know, mystical about the universe and how it's all connected. So I think having you here and talking about where you're talking about, it's hopefully helping people see that this is the real deal. This is the
Yeah.
real. Start trusting it, because if you don't, some things might happen in your life that you don't really understand.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So, what are some of the things that you love about your gifts and that you are not so happy about?
Oh, good question. So, first thing, the easy one, and it's under control now. I was not so happy about getting messages when I was in the shower or sitting on the toilet or washing the dishes. Like all of a sudden, bam! Oh, can you tell
Yeah.
so and so? I didn't like that. So that was just something I got under control, and now it doesn't happen anymore. So that's nice. And I love that you call it a gift, and a lot of people do, because being a gift, like an actual gift, the best part is watching somebody open a gift you give them, right? So
Mm,
when I do a reading, I love watching their expression because it's like they're opening this gift, and if
yeah.
there's either laughter or tears or healing or hope or whatever it is, giving that gift to them, sharing my gift with them, is like me watching my kids at Christmas open their presents. And it sounds like it just makes me feel good. As selfish as it sounds, it makes me feel good. I also like when I'm really overwhelmed with information or emotion, and you know how that takes over your mind and it's hard to see. I like that I and anybody else listening to this can take a step back and say, hey, what's really going on here?
Mm.
So there is a part of you, there's a knowing inside you that has the answers. And if it doesn't have the answers, it'll put a call out to the universe to bring them on in and get you the answers. And it just has allowed me to make much better choices for myself and my family, and to help my friends and family and clients make better choices for themselves. Even though they're grown-up adults, it's nice to be able to get people a little extra insight.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the most important thing that your intuition does is it is that little voice inside you that call it whatever you want, but you do have that inner knowing that when you're going like when I make decisions now, and again, it's all a learning process because this is something I really need to work on, and it's been a very big factor in my life. But now, really tapping in and learning how to listen to those little um, sayings and those inner knowings, it really is funny that, you know, when I choose to do something and I choose what my inner knowing is pushing me towards, it feels really good. And then I don't listen to it, then something like not favorable happens, and it like I'm like, oh gosh, I should have just done what I was thinking of doing.
Right, right. Of course. And what you're saying is totally key. It just came in. It's so subtle. It's so
Mm,
we don't notice. And it's what you're saying. It's all about being in tune and listening and trusting that it's right. But that's kind of been nurtured out of us
yeah,
by you're not right. This is what Facebook says, or this is what society says. So you
yeah,
can't be right. And it's you like you said, it's knowing something without knowing how you know something. There's no evidence to support it. You just know. It just feels good. For
yeah,
like when you meet somebody for the first time, you know instantly. They don't even have to open their mouth. You know if you like them or not.
yeah.
And they
Very
might
good reading, like I am. It's like a, you know, it's an intuition about the person.
yeah, and it's people use that cliche, the first impression is what counts. It truly is. It truly is because we take in all the subtle signs and we notice if they're right for us. They might be a wonderful person, but they might not be right for us. And I think we sense that. So
Mm,
sometimes we have that subtle feeling in our mind. I divide it up a little into the thoughts and like the neck up and the neck down,
right.
because sometimes you just hear no. You just literally hear
I've
not
heard
gonna,
that times.
yeah, or I should take a different road to work today. And then you hear that there was an accident on your usual route. So
Yeah,
those are interesting. There's also the neck down approach. So your body knows if you walk into a room and hi, hi, and then you see somebody and your stomach gets queasy or you tense up, your body knows before your brain does. And so it's trying to tell you, run. It's the survival. It's the caveman deep down or woman saying, run.
yeah. I've definitely gone through those instances when, and I'll be specific in terms of dating, and one person in particular where I got a very strong intuition that I shouldn't be in this.
Mm,
And it it actually continued for a very, very long time. And I actually ended up, and I will say this, it was years that I continued to get this feeling that I thought was I thought was anxiety. But after all this time,
Mm-hmm.
my body was telling me, and by the end of it, I was literally making myself sick, and like I was feeling very sick. And then all of a sudden, when it we parted ways, it was almost as if my body did a release. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously things happen, and people are going to say, "Oh, well, that your relationship just didn't work out, blah blah blah." But I actually believe that I didn't listen, and I didn't want to listen because everything on paper was good.
Right.
But what society wants me to have, but oh my gosh, it's crazy.
But you got out, and that's great. And I do a whole thing on intuition and dating, and it's incredible what we don't listen to. And you're in totally a normal group there where we put up with it for years.
Yeah.
Maybe I have anxiety, but it's saying get out.
Well, check that off. I need to go to your intuition dating course.
It's
So
interesting, yeah.
yeah, it's so interesting. So,
Mhm.
in terms of dating and beyond, and just when you're having to make certain decisions, and are feeling very wishy-washy about what to do, how do we cultivate our intuition? How do we listen to it? What are the feelings we're looking for or wanting to feel?
Right.
Um, Help us direct it, because I know that it can be confused with anxiety, and I've felt it lots of times.
Of course. Anxiety is its own monster. That's
Hmm.
for sure. If you can meditate, if you like to meditate, that's great. I try that. It's great to calm your mind and you have a clearer road to your intuition. I'm not great at that, so no. So I like to busy myself with something else, like just maybe pulling weeds or doodling. Sometimes I'll just doodle and that will take me away. But the anxiety, you know what anxiety feels like. And what I tell people, what I teach people to do is think of a person from your past. It's like think, or a relationship that you had that made you feel that way.
Yeah.
Okay, now feel that again. Like feel it right now and see how it feels. And you could feel your body slightly tenses up, your stomach, your jaw, your mind starts going a little, spiraling a little bit. And because you're not dealing with it right now, you let it go. So now that it's gone, because you don't need that anymore, what I want you to do is just say your name in your mind in your own voice. And do you see how subtle that is and how there's no emotion attached to it?
Hmm.
That's the
Yeah.
difference between anxiety and intuition. So
So,
anxiety, go ahead.
sorry. Basically, what you're saying is that your inner knowing is going to feel like a calmness.
Yeah,
And
it's
yeah,
very neutral, nothing attached to it, no attachment to the outcome, and it's the subtlest thought. But like you said in the beginning, we don't pay attention.
yeah,
So when you start to pay attention to that subtle thought, I always say, notice what you notice without reading too much into it. And just as a silly example, there was one day, actually a few weeks ago, when I was driving down into my street, and there was a man. He was power washing his driveway. Okay,
mhm,
no big deal at all. But for some reason, I paid just a little more attention to it than I should. It was like, oh, okay, he's washing his driveway. Oh, okay, look at him do that. Why am I doing that? So I forgot about that. Sure enough, I get home an hour later. My husband spills oil on the driveway, ends up having to power wash the driveway. It's like, oh, it's like my intuition, not that the future is totally predictable, but knew something was going to happen.
yeah,
So it's just pay attention to those. And that's the difference. Anxiety is attached to emotion, intuition is calm.
Yeah, I think that is the one thing that I'm trying to cultivate is the calmness because I can get all wired up with anxiety, but
Sure.
in of connecting with that, it's just learning how to breathe and learning how to be with myself. And one thing you said before was that trust and being able to trust yourself because when you have anxiety, uncertainty doesn't allow you to trust many things and because you're not sure of what's going to happen and you're not sure of the outcome or the future or whatnot, so being able to trust those thoughts and your calmness is a feat in itself.
Yes, it is. And I think what you can do now, I was going to say now that we're older, but you're a lot younger than I am, is that you can look back on all the situations in your life and think of, just to validate how good you are and how good your natural intuition is, when did I not listen to it? And it did not work out because our brains are actually wired to worry. We're wired to be more negative. So that's just a survival instinct to look out for danger so I can get away from the bear. But there's
Yeah.
no bears roaming around the city. Well, not yet. Anyways, we'll see what happens. But
There have-
yeah, stranger things have happened. So once you can get out of that kind of anxiety, and look past it, you're golden. You just, the trusting is looking back and think, when didn't I trust it? Because that will make a greater impact in your memory than, oh, I listened and it went great. We tend to forget that. So we have trauma from the things we don't trust. So we need to think back and take a mental, or we can even write it down. You can write down like all the guys I dated, wrong, you know, and then you could figure out, okay, you know what? I'm pretty good at this because we're all naturally intuitive. Not just me, not just John Edward, not just James Van Prague. It's not certain individuals. You are, I am, my kids are, your kids will be. It's just everybody's in tune. We just forget how to tap into it and tap into how to listen to our bodies telling, giving us the silent signals.
Yeah, and Niagara Healing Arts brought up a good point that our body is more trustworthy than our thoughts, and I truly believe that because it is all encompassing and knowing. So, and the breathing body is using the breathing body as an anchor, which 100%
Yeah,
is
just
allowing you to breathe and be still, and then make a decision instead of making a hasty one.
I think people think talking about breathing is cliche and being present in the moment is cliche, but it's so true. So anxiety, like depression is living in the past and you're bringing it forward with you. Anxiety is seeing, like, worrying about the future and what's going to happen.
Hmm.
So we're left with this space in the middle that if you just stay there, you'll be okay. And it doesn't matter if you're sitting there holding a teacup and going, it is so pretty. And you're not thinking about anything else and you're just breathing, that will ground you too. So just being here.
That's such a good tip. Like just looking at something, or you don't even have to be meditating. Really, it's just concentrating on something that's really in the moment, like a painting or a coffee cup, or I don't know, a tree.
A
Uh,
tree, perfect. Go for a walk, a
yeah.
fresh air.
Oh,
You have to give yourself permission to do it. Some of us, I have some clients that say, I'm worried that if I don't worry, something bad's going to happen. It's like,
oh my gosh,
okay.
that's too much.
Calm. Yeah.
True, it is, and
So,
it's kind of too.
yeah. So I said,
Oh,
okay, give yourself permission to have 3 minutes, 30 seconds, 10 minutes of being right here, right now. Like you say, the tree, go for that walk, listen to the wind in the trees, pay attention to the birds. Don't think about anything else except what you're experiencing on that walk and see how much better you feel.
yeah,
Yeah,
100.
yeah. If you want to dive back into worry, go ahead. But once you feel what the present moment feels like, you let it go and say, okay, you guys, you take care of this. I'm going to just sit right here and enjoy my life.
Yeah. I I think one of the most interesting and positive things in my life that I can attribute to intuition is sitting here right now. I was in and out of drops. Like I would stay there for about a year and then I would never feel something was off. Something was always off. I was always having anxiety. I was always very um, depressed at work, not happy with what I was doing. And I always knew, or deep down, which is the intuition, that I wanted to do something more. And I
Mm,
wanted to help people. And I knew that I had an affinity to mental health and dealing with my own struggles and going through kind of what I've gone through. And 3 years ago, I had a dream or like a little thought about the Joy Tribe Co. And it took 3 years to cultivate, but I was literally waking up in the middle of the night having to write notes because I would get messages in my brain about it. And
yeah,
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 but then I would keep pushing it down because I'm like, I can't do that. I can't quit my job, please. Like I can't do any of that. Um, but yeah, 3 years later, here I am. I mean, obviously, COVID-19, thank you very much. But I
yeah,
mean, I feel more calm and in the right place than I ever have when when not listening to my intuition, when listening to my intuition has brought me here. So I know that listening to it is a big deal. Big deal.
for sure. Because you know what's right and wrong for you. You really do. And a lot of people do come to me with exactly what you said. I hate my job. I hate going there. It's giving me depression. It's giving me anxiety. But we got to pay the bills, right? So,
Yeah.
um, and I'm not saying this is the answer, but sometimes it's like, okay, rephrase it. Let's try and just do a little mind hack and say, okay, I've got this job with which I pay the bills. I don't expect to be happy there at the moment. A better job's coming. So it's not about being happy all the time. I think people actually get stressed out trying to be happy all the time because
Yeah.
there's so much pressure to be happy. It's like, or to be positive or positive vibes
Have
only.
a perfect life.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen 99% of the time. So be here, do the best you can right here, and the rest will follow. You'll just attract so much. I know that sounds woo-woo, but you will attract better things the more positively you experience right now. Like I said, my stupid teacup. If I enjoy that, suddenly my mood changes. And my mood changes, I look at things differently,
Yeah.
and then you're open to different opportunities. So if you maybe would have, I hate my job, and then something would have come along and you're like, you would have missed it. But if you're in a little better mind state, you can say, oh, I caught that. I caught that. I'll jump on that, because you also would have more confidence and a more of a, yeah, I don't need that job. I'm good with this. I'm good with this. So
Because you'll have that inner knowing and you'll start trusting yourself, which will give you the confidence.
yeah, yeah, because that depression, anxiety, that will sit on your inner knowing and just leave it there flat on the ground, and you won't be able to use it.
Yeah, I have never felt so free when listening to my intuition. It is such a freeing thing you can do for yourself, and you just realize that your life is so much better. And even just going through these tough times with COVID, and I mean, I know there's a lot of people dealing with stress and anxiety. You may have lost your job through all of this, or you're dealing with your job plus kids plus teaching those kids school courses, and then having to keep your own happiness. I think just taking a couple moments to really just focus on the now. And even if it's just going into your bedroom and like looking at a quote or writing down in your journal, like, okay, these are the things that I am grateful to today for, even though life is kind of crazy.
Right.
Um,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, I think
It,
just grounding.
oh yeah, for sure it's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. And people say, well, how am I supposed to be present and enjoy this present moment when, like you said, I've got kids running around and trying to work on Zoom? Well, sometimes you just have to do what you have to do and make it sounds cliche, but make the best of it. It's not, oh, just be positive. It's like you do what you need to do to maintain your sanity and get through the day because this is what you get to do right now. I don't
Yeah,
have to. It's the phrasing, oh, I have to do this. Oh, I get to do this. I get to continue to work at Zoom. I get to have my kids home. So if you change the wording about it, sometimes our attitude toward the whole thing changes. But what you said about being grateful, it's again, it sounds cliche, but it's actually brilliant. What am I thankful for? Even if it's like, oh, I'm thankful that I have this, I don't know, these new lamps on my patio, or I'm thankful that I'm healthy.
or
So,
I
and
have 3 kids that are running around terrorizing the house.
I have three healthy kids that can run around and terrorize the house. I do.
Yeah, and maybe in doing that, you can, set an intention where you're going to do something good for yourself and your family, so that your family is all there at one time doing it. Whether that's like having dinner together and talking about an important topic that's important to all of you, or going for a family walk. Like, I know all of these things, and I say this as not having kids or any of that, but I know that there's lots of people single in a relationship with families that are getting bogged down.
Oh,
Taking
for
that time for yourself and listening to your intuition about what you want to do. And if you I know I'm going on a bit of a tangent, but I just think about myself, and I'm very adamant about working out and like having a set schedule to keep myself busy every hour of the day.
yeah.
And my body and my intuition is telling me, Erin, I'm tired. Please slow down. Don't plan another workout for me. I am just done with you. So
Yeah.
it's being able to listen to that, because if you don't listen to your body, then you might overwork it. You might get to the point where you I don't know, break a leg. I don't know, but it'll
Sure.
stop you from progressing even farther.
Sure.
So
Yeah. You can't push yourself past what you can actually do. You really can't.
yeah,
But this, yeah, the pandemic's been quite a challenge for a lot of people. And you know what? We're all going to come out of it beautifully. We all are. It's temporary. And if
yeah,
you can just see that there's light at the end of the tunnel, then you've got some hope of getting through it.
and I think we are. I think there are have been have there's been some movements toward more get-togethers, especially in Canada, where we're able to start having larger groups. Um, but I do think that things are getting better, and I think that we just all have to be supportive of each other and love each other and listen to each other and respect each other, no matter who you are or what you do or what you look like. And be kind and compassionate, because I think right now that's the biggest thing that we can give the world is love and kindness, and an ear to listen, really.
Yeah. Even to yourself, be kind to yourself.
What well, most importantly, because you can't do anything if you're in all over the place. It's like when you're in the plane, but you
Yeah,
ask on first before you can help anyone else.
for sure. And I think a lot of people don't do that because I think we think, oh, we need to take hours to do it. But we don't. Maybe we just need to have half a cup of tea, let the rest go cold because the kids are running around, heat it up, enjoy your tea again. It could just be a moment. and you're fine. And those moments when you are free and clear and calm, then you know what I always like to do is I stop and say, tell me what I need to know and see what thoughts come in. Or
Mm.
tell me what I need to know about tomorrow and make a note of it because your intuition is trying to talk to you all the time. And you can get some, I'm not saying, oh, everybody go out and get a crystal ball and cards and be psychic, but you can make your life better just by saying, tell me what I need to know. Or what should I do? What should I do next? What should I do about that job? And detach from the outcome, which is huge with intuition, and just let whatever thoughts come in, come in.
I, it's funny that you say that because I was literally just going to say, I think for me, even this whole listening to my intuition has been really hard because I have a fear of listening to it. I have a fear of listening to it because I'm afraid of the outcome. I don't know, because let's say I'm in this situation that, I really want it to work out or, whatnot. And I don't necessarily want to listen to my intuition because I don't want it to tell me that I'm wrong.
Right, exactly. So so you already know that about yourself. So
Yeah.
you can say, okay, I'm going to listen no matter what. But I get it. We want these things to happen so much, or we don't want these things to happen so much that we get caught up in that. So when you are not attached to any emotion around it or the outcome of it, you get much clearer messages and feelings. So when I have clients here or on these days on my phone and we're doing readings, they can be crying their eyeballs out and just going through half a box of Kleenex and they're in such emotional distress. And I'm sitting there like this. I can't get emotional. If I get emotional, I won't get anything. So it's not that I don't care. It's what I'm sitting there doing is, okay, what do we need to say next? What will comfort this person more? What do they need to heal? So I can't get emotional about their stuff. I can't get emotional about my kids' stuff or anything I want to know.
Mm.
And I'm so emotional. I cry when people win in game shows. I cry in commercials. I can't for the life of me watch people get their colorblind glasses on. I will cry for days, but it's happy cries, and
Yeah.
I can't do it. And once you train yourself to not get emotionally attached to something you really want, you'll get a better answer as how to get what you really want.
Yeah, that is definitely a obstacle that I go through because I have lots. I'm sure, like a lot of people in this world, put a lot of pressure on ourselves to achieve and have certain things, and these things are a process where it's like, okay, so I'm 35. I'm single. I am working on my business. Like all of these things are up in the air, but at this point, I feel all this pressure to be. I guess I'm impatient where I need to be in a relationship. I need to do all of this, and literally everything in the universe is saying, Erin, slow the hell down. Don't try to a relationship right now. You got shit to do. Like I literally, and I say this now because I'm literally going through it, like this moment of just trying to get all my ducks in a row in every part of my life when my body and all the signs in the universe are telling me differently, which is, this is why I say I don't want to listen to it because I just don't, because I'm so ingrained with this idea that I have to, like, society, I'm, society having, children by a certain point, being in a marriage at a certain point, and like having all of these things set up already. And and I'm learning, and I know that my journey is my journey, and every day of building this business is a journey in itself, and it's hard, but
But is it a joy?
which is why I call the Joy Tribe. Joy. Um,
Yeah, so you're letting the outside determine what you're supposed to do, and it's really in there somewhere saying you and you know it, but I get it. We do that all the time.
oh, I
So
know it.
we just got to watch that Disney show and start singing that "Let It Go" song
Oh
over and
God, yeah, yeah. What is it? Frozen? Yes,
yeah,
Frozen. Uh,
that's yeah.
yeah, I think that is the piece right now that I'm working on is letting go of expectation and my own expectations on myself, really, because no one else cares as much as I do. Let's be serious. So, just being able to listen to that intuition that's telling me, Erin, do your thing right now because that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Of course.
Yeah. So, I don't know if any people that are on this live have any questions for us. I just wanted to throw it out there because my questions are almost done, but I mean, I could talk about this forever.
That's that's the problem, but Instagram will limit us to an hour and a half, which we could
Is it
totally.
half? I thought it was an hour.
They extended it because of the certain C
Oh.
that's running around. Two very bad C words, and we're not going to use either of them right
No,
now. No,
no.
but
In terms of aside from the being a psychic,
mhm.
what is one way intuition has served you positively in your life, like
Oh,
through vision?
yeah, I think I couldn't narrow it down to one way because it told me that sounds woo woo, but that's why it was like just quit your teaching job after 20 years, just do it.
Yeah.
And but like you said, and at that time I was in my late 30s. Okay, society's saying have a good job with a good pension at great benefits, do this. That's what society's saying, but my intuition said quit your job, go do readings. And and honestly, talking to dead people is a heck of a lot easier than talking to 10-year-olds. I'll tell you that. So
I wouldn't doubt it.
yeah. So that worked out. Relationships, I get it. I was in a
Yeah.
awful relationship for many, many years, and I knew I should have got out, but the fear of getting out, what's going to happen? Okay, what's going to happen to my kids? And what I tell people in these situations, okay, if we took finances and kids and where you're living, if we took all of that out of the picture, what would you do? And they'd be
Mm,
like, I'd leave. So finally I got to that point. It was time to go. And then 5 years of dating. So dating is very interesting, especially at my age, because, well, I guess at any age, but it's different.
mm.
And when I look back on it, I remember all the first coffee dates, and you would go in and go, oh no. But you give them the second chance, right? And it's not because they weren't put together and they're well spoken, but your body's going, no, not happening. So I learned to listen to that. And dating is really interesting because you learn a lot about yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
If you can go about dating as a really interesting experiment in human behavior, then you're golden. It's like what are each of these relationships or meetings, even if they're quick, reflecting back to me about myself? And
Yeah.
that yeah, and that holds true for everything. And everything, I don't want to sound cliche again, but everything is a lesson. And we do learn.
I love it. I don't care.
Yeah, okay. Well, I always say, what am I supposed to learn from this? What is in it for me? And sometimes it's like, no, nothing. It's like, okay, I don't need to deal with that. And sometimes it's like, okay, you think you're not good enough. You actually are good enough. That's what's going on. Or you think you're way too good for this. You're actually not that great. So you're going to get a lot of different, what's the lesson here? And when you learn to look at yourself objectively, which is hard as you know what,
Yeah.
you can get a heck of a lot more information about how to move forward and much more successfully with much more fulfilling um, outcome. So people always talk about happiness. How am I going to find happiness? I've talked about this before, but just find a purpose. Even if your purpose for today is to clean all the dishes out of the sink, if you have a purpose, you feel like things feel better. And I noticed that recently with my daughter who just graduated from college, and
Oh,
she was, yeah,
yay.
yay, graphic designer for
Oh,
hire.
wow, good for her. Sorry, off topic, but that's another story.
Very, very talented, but she always had a purpose. She always had a deadline. She always had things to create. School's done. She's got nothing to do. And I just watch her get a little more anxious and a little more depressed because she's so she's found, this sounds absolutely ridiculous, but she bought one of those Nintendo Switches. So now she has an island that she needs to create. So she has a purpose. And she's happy. She's not sitting on there all day, but she's happier and she's got something to create. If you can create,
Oh,
that it just makes you feel so much better. Even if it's a meal, creating meals is wonderful. If you like to cook or not, it's up to you. Or, and I'm not saying draw, paint, take pictures, create a garden, rearrange your furniture, create something new. And it gives you a little bit of purpose and a lot of happiness.
oh, I love that because I think that creating is one of the most beautiful things in this world that we can do. Um, because it allows us to express our emotions, express our creativity, that makes us happier, that gives us a purpose, as you said. Like even I paint. I'm trying to paint more, but yeah, painting really makes me happy, and it actually allows me to block out everything else and just kind of focus in on the now and when I'm painting. So I truly believe that being creative is key for mental health and keeping you sane and focusing on the now.
So that would be your key time when you're painting and you're just in the present moment. It would be a great time for you to say, tell me what else I need to know. What
Mm-hmm.
what should I do next? And you're not even specifically asking about work or personal life, just what should I do next? And
Yeah.
you might hear the strangest things, and you've got to learn to trust them. Just as an example, and I still to this day going say, you got to be kidding me. That makes absolutely no sense. The one time I was driving on the highway, long time ago, after my mother had passed, and I was trying to figure something out, and I'm like, Mom, what would you do? Creating this conversation in my head, and so we had this little conversation, and
Mm.
at the end, I said, okay, if I should actually do this, what am I going to see in the next 5 kilometers? And she said, big black blankets. And I thought, I'm on the highway. I looked at my seat, there's no blankets. I said, okay, sure. So you allow the most ridiculous things to come into your head. A few kilometers down the highway, they were building, I don't know what they were building, covered in big black tarps, big black blankets.
Oh my goodness.
And it's not because I do what I do. It's just, you just allow even the most unusual things to come into your mind, write them down, and see what happens. What's going to happen tomorrow? You might hear cucumbers. You're like, okay, cucumbers. And see what happens.
Yeah, oh, I love all of that. And I just want to acknowledge Courtney. I think she mentioned that she's just waiting on surgery.
Oh,
And yeah, just and saying that she really appreciates this talk and, being able to be positive. Um, so thank you, Courtney, for sharing your love, and we send you love and support as well for your surgery. But yeah, I think that just being in tune and being able to listen and being open to listen, which is the biggest thing, I think.
Mhm.
And maybe just, being creative with that, and like you said, big black tarps or blankets. Okay, yeah, cool. Like, show me how that's going to work. And then you start kind of, I guess, cultivating it. And yeah, I just think that we need to start listening. Because for the most part, that your body knows what's good for you. And even though there is this side of protection and survival, I do think that there is some inner knowing. Well, there is an inner knowing in your intuition that allows you to guide you.
Of
Uh,
course.
yeah, so we're getting to the end of this live
Mhm.
session, and I could talk about this for hours and hours on end. But is there any last advice that you can give people who are, feeling a little bit anxious during this time and, really wanting to cultivate their intuition? I know we've said some really great suggestions over the course of this session, but are there any that you feel, need to be said again or honed in just for people to take notes?
I know with the pandemic, what there's so much going on. There's so much information that's overwhelming. I think I'm not saying not to listen to the news, but do what you need to do to stay safe. But narrow down your locus of control. What can you control? And control that so that
Hmm.
you feel like you have some sense of control. And intuition will start to filter in and say, hey, go here, hey, do that. I think the key things are like what you said, listen, be grateful, enjoy, be present, and allow. So just, I'm not trying to sound like a 1965 hippie, but just sit back and peace, love, and sometimes a little go F yourself, but just a little
That's
peace.
it.
Oh, yeah.
Love on
So,
yourself, love the
yeah,
world,
yeah.
you
The
know.
takeaway would just be everybody calm down.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
you move.
hashtag
Yeah.
everybody calm down. Oh my gosh. Anyways,
Thank you for having me with you today. It was so nice to see you again.
oh,
And
you too. I'm so happy. And guys, if you have not signed up for the soul sessions yet, you better get on it. We are giving 25% of each ticket sale is going to the Black Mental Health Fund.
mhm.
And you'll be able to listen and see this beautiful face again at the soul sessions among so many other great speakers. Like, I am so very excited. I have a great roster for everyone.
Looks fab.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and just like some other really fun things that are happening as well. And yeah, and I saw some other people come onto the chat. So if anyone has any questions, please throw them out. You have about 5 seconds.
Yeah. I think they're good.
Okay, so I
I
guess
think
we don't have
these
questions, but
me.
thank you so much, Lynn. It is
Oh,
always a pleasure to speak with you, and I'm so happy that we were able to meet each other, and I can't wait to speak with you again and see you at the Soul Sessions.
see you there for sure, for
See you
sure.
there. Okay, bye.
Bye.